Welcome to week 4. We have 3 readings this week, and I'll start with some thoughts I wanted to share on Burson and Avigallo, 2004. In this study, the authors explored how transformational and transactional leadership styles, communication style, and goal articulation are related to the dissemination of strategic goals across several organizational levels. And they did this study in a large, complex, international telecommunication company. And what they found is that transformational leadership is associated with careful listening, careful transmission of information, and open communication styles. They also suggested that mid-level managers play a central role, and they should be more involved in strategy implementation. Now, you may have found this to be true in your own organization. Perhaps you're part of management or a mid-level manager, and I'm sure that you would rather be part of the strategic plan early rather than having it handed to you and having to sell that plan to the organization. As part of that Burson study, I recommend that you check out Figure 1. It offers a good summary of the study's focus, including their hypothesis and research questions. You may also find Table 3 of interest since it provides an exploratory view of potential linkages between leadership ratings and agreement on strategic goals. Now, the authors offer a good review of how transformational leadership or transformational leaders use the 3 I's of influence tactics. And these include inspiring, intellectually stimulating, and individually considerate. You may remember those 3 I's from other leadership courses you've taken. They apply to communication as well. You can read more of about that in their study on page 629. And finally, I'll leave you with this quote from Burson and Avigallo. Effective dissemination of organizational goals also depends on the communication skills of leaders. I've often said that the most important skill that any leader can have is communication. Now let's move on to Hearn and Ninan, 2003. This is an interesting paper. It describes a girl by the name of Rachel and her efforts to establish change. And think about your own experiences with change and explore ways that you could apply this lesson in this paper, perhaps to your own leadership. Some good insights for this character that they developed named Rachel. One of the quotes that I found of interest was, "The meaning environments of organizations are inherently complex." Now, of course, this is because real-time interpersonal interactions that are constantly changing, and there's also because access to information is unevenly available. Think about how information flows in your own organization. Who gets that information first? That's especially critical when you think about global organizations and global leadership, which we're studying. Think about ways that you might be able to mitigate the complex nature of communication within your own organization. I also encourage you to look at the questions at the bottom of page 442 in Hearn and Ninan. They offer some good insights into areas you could explore the next time you're responsible for leading change. Okay, our third reading this week is from Lewis, Hamill, and Richardson, 2001. These authors provided 6 models for communication change within a nonprofit organization. And the principles they explore, those could apply to for-profit or any other organization as well. They also explore 2 dimensions of communication, which they call communication efficiency and consensus building. 2 very important skills to understand and appreciate when you are dealing with models of communication. I encourage you to review Figure 1 on page 29 of Lewis, Hamill, and Richardson. In this figure, you'll find depicted the need for communication efficiency versus the need for high consensus building. Perhaps this is a model you could use the next time that you are communicating an issue within your own organization. Pretty good model to use. Also on page 34, our authors describe the numerous tensions that arise when communicating change. And these tensions include the need for consensus building and communication efficiency, the quantity of resources available to communicate change, their own energies and investments in the change in the interest of numerous stakeholder groups, the organization's values concerning participation and power, and of course the importance of the planned change. So very good tensions to be aware of, especially as it relates to communicating change. Well, listen, that's all for now. As always, stay ahead with all assignments, stay engaged in the discussion board, and most of all, enjoy this time of learning.